I spent the last several days testing out the Sunseeker Orion X7, and I want to give you my thoughts on what they've done right and maybe some things that they can improve on with this mower. I want to talk about the setup, I want to talk about the unboxing, I want to talk about mapping out the yard, but ultimately I want to talk about the performance of the mower. We're going to test it out on hills, I'm going to test out the obstacle avoidance, I want to talk about the cut quality, I want to talk about how easy it is to navigate the map, trying to put together a video that I think would be helpful if somebody was looking at this particular robot mower. This is the 6th robot mower that I've reviewed, so I may not be the world's foremost expert, but I'm certainly got more experience than most people. So let's get started right now reviewing this mower. Just a side note here, I think if you buy a nice robot mower, you should expect it to come in a nice box and well packaged. Because sometimes you buy a nice mower and it comes in a cheap looking box, then you just makes you question the quality of the mower. Now if it comes in a nice box doesn't mean it's a good mower, but I'll say for this one was extremely well packaged, very easy to set up. So here's the mower. Again, this is the X7. Sunseeker makes different models. This one's rated up to 0.75 acres, and I have a really big yard, so I wanted the one that covered the most area. Now, as far as what comes in the box, the mower was already completely assembled. All I had to do is pick it up and get it out of the box. You see the charging base that it's on. As far as putting it together, I did have to snap this on. You got two different cables here. One is going to go for our antenna here, which I've got set up. The other thing it came with is some extra blades here, which was nice. And then it's got some different stakes. These are some plastic ground stakes for mounting your base to the ground, and these are some stakes because you can mount the antenna to a wall. There's different ways to mount it. I just have it with some ground stakes holding it in the ground. As far as the initial setup, it was very simple. Just get the mower out, download the app, and then the app basically walks you the whole process. There was a quick start guide in there, which I like, and I found it to be very, very simple setting it up. I'm going to say maybe 15 minutes as far as getting the antenna in the ground, plugging everything in, downloading the app. I was very pleased with that process. The next step we need to do is we need to map out the yard. Now, the time I'm recording is I haven't done that yet, so I want to record the process of mapping out the yard, and then we can set the mower and let it start working and see how well it performs. Before I map out the yard, let's go over just a few of the specs about the mower and show it to you. Now, this is mostly a plastic base here, so nothing overly tough or rugged about that. It is waterproof, which is great. It can be left out in the weather. As I flip it over, one of the things I noticed that's a little bit different about this mower is it does have two sets of rotating blades versus one, which has been the case with others. I believe I got a 14-inch cut on this, and I do like the wheels. These are not plastic. These are more of a rubber material, and they have a lot of grip on them there. You see the swiveling front wheel here. But to be honest, this mower was larger than I anticipated when it came in the box. Robot mowers like this also are not made to go tackle your overgrown lawn, okay? So what I would recommend, and what I've done in this situation, is go ahead and cut your grass and get it down to about the level you want, because they're more made to just mow the lawn on a regular basis, every day, every other day, maybe every third day. So that's what we want to do. I've got the grass mowed already, so the idea is to keep it maintained with a robot mower. I mentioned the nice packaging you see here on the box. We got a 2-year warranty. This one's rated up to 3/4 of an acre, the RTK. It has to do with the satellite technology. And you can see here, our battery capacity, cutting width 14 inches, cutting height 0.8 to 4 inches. So I like that. Going really low all the way down to 0.8 inches, all the way up to 4 inches, which is great. Max slope, 28-degree slope is what it's rated at. 30 pounds, I believe that's probably the entire box, not just the mower. Of course, there's no wire to bury on this particular mower. But as I mentioned, really nice packaging for this mower. I've already downloaded the app and got my mower connected. In the initial connection, you need to be close to a Wi-Fi signal, and it's going to connect through Wi-Fi and also Bluetooth. The app has step-by-step instructions. To be honest with you, I don't think you even need the instruction manual that comes with it. To be honest, once you get the antenna in place and the charging station, all that put together, then the app can pretty much walk you through the rest of the process of connecting your mower and what to do next. Before I can put the mower to work, I need to create a map. Let's do that now. All right, so I'm going into the app here, and it's time to create our first map. So You see the situation here, the tooth is connected, start mapping. It's telling me to remove any obstacles. And I want to map out the perimeter of the yard, but then if there's any areas that I don't want it to go, like in a tree ring or areas that are in the middle of the yard, I can tell it not to do that as well. All right, so it had to do a check, make sure everything was connected, my satellite signal was good, and now it's showing that it's on the base station. There's my antenna. It's time for me to drive it around the yard. You can see you do it all within the app. So I'm into the mapping section. You can see you can set 3 different types of zones: a work zone, a corridor. That's like if I was going to cross over a driveway to get to the other side of the yard. So I want it to go without mowing. And then a no-go zone. I don't want it to go in there at all. So right now I'm just going to create a work zone, and I'm ready to start mapping. All right, so I'm creating the map with the app on my phone and just driving it. It's actually showing the perimeter. You see, I want to try to get fairly close to the flower beds. I don't want to run into the flower bed area, but I want to get close enough where I could hopefully just make one pass with a string trimmer to clean it up after the mower's done cutting. Now in the past with robot mowers, they typically go exactly where you tell them to go. So I want to make sure I create a good path here, and you can go back and edit it later and things like that, but I want to get it right the first time if possible. This would be a situation where you'd use a corridor in the mapping. If I wanted to cross over the driveway, but I don't need it mowing on the driveway, so I could create a corridor and have it go to a separate area over here and start mowing again. Again, I'm mapping it out here. It's showing it on the phone, on the app, the map that I'm creating. And once we get that done, then you could go in, you can set schedules, have it mow when you want to. But let me finish this part up, and then we'll get to doing what I'm more excited about, and that's actually testing out the mower. Now this will be a good test for the mower holding on this slope right here. It does get pretty steep the further I go, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down the slope. So this would be an example of where I'd want a no-go zone. Now I'm expecting the cameras to be able to see that tree, but I don't necessarily want it up in the mulch or around the tree. So I would, even in a small area like that, I'm just gonna create a no-go zone around that tree to keep it from going in that area. So I got the map created, very simple process. I went ahead and traced out several tree rings to keep it from running into the tree. And one of the things I did appreciate, once I finished creating the map, it notified me that my charging station was outside of my mapping area, and it said, would you like it to go ahead and create a path to go to the charging station? I said, yes, please do that. So it did that, and then I just went ahead and started mowing. So it's on its first initial mow right now. I want to get some experience with the mower before we put some tests to it, but let me show you what it looks like on its first mow. So I was over in this area of the yard. It's still early in the morning. You see some dew on the ground, and it started kind of just spinning around. I thought, what is going on? But what I realized is it's cutting a diagonal pattern. So it was over here on the it was just go a little way and turn around, go a little way and turn. I was like, what's it doing? But then I finally realized, oh wait, it's cutting a diagonal pattern in the yard. So you can see here, one of the things I love about the robots is you do get really, really great lines in the yard. So it's working here on its first initial cut. Now our warm season grasses don't really stripe very well, but it is making nice lines, and you can see how it operates. So what I want to do, again, I want it to go ahead and cut my front yard. I have a large front yard. I want to just kind of keep an eye on it, see how it's doing, and then we'll come back and we'll put the thing to the test and maybe put some obstacle in the way, see how it does on the hill, and give more in-depth overview of the mower after I've got some experience with it. I want to see how the mower's doing on the hillside here. It's making a diagonal pattern, so it's not going to go directly up the hill, which is probably a good thing. But I want to see how well it does. This is his first time in this area. It may take a couple of passes before it gets up higher on the hill where you can really put it to the test. I really wanted to see what it would do going on this hill. And as you can see, it just went up this slope right here, which is not super steep, but a significant little slope, went up that with no problem. So practically speaking, I think a fairly gentle slope like this mower will handle that. I had it going at it at an angle. I didn't try to go straight up and down this hill, but I don't think this mower is created for a hill like this, where it's going to be very steep. It's going to be very challenging. A more gentle slope, it appears to be able to handle that no problem. I do think the tire design really helps as far as handling a hill like this. You can see the gray skies. We've got rain coming in. I've got the setting set for the lawnmower where it will continue to operate in the rain. You can turn it to where when it rains it will go back to the charger, but I told it to keep on mowing grass. It can stay out here in the rain and mow. I'm gonna go in the house because I'd prefer not to get wet. I'm learning a lot about the mower. I'm running it at night, I'm running the day, I'm running when it's dry, I'm running when it's wet, and I've got a lot to share about what I've observed about this particular robot lawnmower. So I want to test out obstacle avoidance here. I've put my boot in the way, and I believe it uses the cameras on the front with AI to recognize the object. So let's see how it responds when it approaches my boot on the ground. It looks like it recognized it. Let's give it one more pass and see what it does. Now I would say this on the obstacle avoidance, like the way I map out my yard, even if you have like a tree like this, I would go ahead and map it out as a no-go zone and not rely on the mower to see it if it's a permanent object. But we want to be able to know that, hey, if there is an object that's not there all the time, like a boot, it's going to recognize that and go around it. But again, I would map out all permanent objects. Like in this situation, these tree rings, I just map them out. Now I use the robot lawnmower to cut the lawn behind me, and you can see the actual cut quality is very good. One of the things I like about this particular mower, it does have a floating lawnmower deck, if you will. It's got the two different sets of blades there, and they have some floating ability to where if you have a bumpy lawn, it's able to not scalp it in areas actually a little bit better than a traditional mower. So I think that's a good feature. But again, just seeing the actual quality of cut. And let me say, on the quality of cut, again, I can't emphasize enough the need to mow the grass very regularly, because these mowers are not great at like mulching up the clippings. So if you let the grass get a little bit higher, then it is going to probably leave rows of clippings. And another personal tip I would do if I was programming it is I would set it to run in the afternoon, you know, or maybe starting around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and especially if a big yard, because unless you're mowing it every day, those wet clippings are going to more likely leave little rows of clippings in the yard. But if you do it after the grass is dried out, I think you'll get less clippings on the actual mower, and you're less likely to leave clippings in rows in the yard. As a matter of fact, I tested out this particular mower in the morning as well as in the afternoon, and it was significantly less clippings visible when I mowed in the afternoon once the lawn had dried out. One thing I'm a little bit unclear about for those of you with a larger yard. Now this one's rated for 3/4 of an acre. I set mine up and mapped out the front yard area of my lawn, which was probably about 3/4 of an acre. Let me just clarify, when you map out a 3/4 of an acre, it doesn't mean it's going to mow 3/4 of an acre on a single battery charge. It doesn't do that. I would describe the battery life on this as acceptable but not exceptional, if you would. Now the good thing is the mower itself will go back and recharge itself. So when you say, hey, mow my 3/4 acre yard or half acre, whatever it is, if it doesn't finish it on that charge, then it'll simply go back, recharge itself, and then come back and finish the job until the job is complete. Now, in my experience, when I did that, when I just manually told it to go mow and didn't have it on a schedule, it did not go back out and finish the job. But when I set it up on a calendar, on an actual schedule, and said, hey, Tuesday at 2 o'clock or whatever, go mow, and at that point it did go back and finish the job. One thing, when it goes out there and runs for however long before it needs to recharge, one thing I did notice, it doesn't take a long time to recharge. So a large battery lasts longer, but then takes longer to recharge. This one may be a little bit smaller battery, goes out there, mows, goes back, recharge, and then it's back out there mowing again. I just want it performing right, going back and doing it all autonomously where I don't have to worry about it. Overall impressions, what I like about the mower, I thought it was very, very simple to set up, comparatively speaking to other robotic mowers. Setup was very quick. The app seemed to be very simple to use. It was not overly complicated to change a bunch of settings that I may not actually use in the future, but there was a variety of settings. It was easy to change the mowing height. I could even change how much it overlapped on the mowing, you know, if you want to just barely overlap on each pass or overlap more so, which would obviously speed things up. I really like that the cut height can go as low as 0.8 inches all the way up to 4 inches. That gives you some variety in the type of grass you're going to be cutting. You know, a lot of cool season lawns or maybe even St. Augustine grass you might want to mow taller, where some other lawn types you might want to keep it nice and short, and it gives you the versatility to do that. I like the floating deck. Unfortunately, my lawn's not perfectly level. It's got some bumps to it. So with the floating deck, I feel like I got a nice even cut there. Mapping out the lawn was very simple. This was the first one I think I could do. I could actually drive it with one hand, drive it around the lawn. Mapping out the no-go zones was easy. I like the mapping feature that I didn't have to tell it where the charging station was and antenna. Once I had that set up, it automatically recognized that my charging station was outside of my mapped area, and it made a path to go back and recharge itself. I didn't have to draw a path and say, hey, here's the charging station. It knew where it was and recognized it and goes back and recharges itself flawlessly. As far as realistic expectations on it, again, I think I showed you the build quality of it. It is waterproof, which is good. You can flip it over, wash it off. The main shell of it is mostly plastic, so just understand it's not built like a tank. It is what it is as far as that goes. I like the tire quality. I like that this one performed better on hills than some other ones I've tested. Again, I wouldn't recommend on a steep slope, but on a gentle hill, I think it did a great job. It operates extremely quietly. I like that it came with extra set of blades. I like that you can mount the antenna on the ground or on the side of a house or on the roof. That is a pretty decent sized yard, and some of them are rated for much smaller yards. They actually have several models, and this one I think is rated for the largest area. So for those of us that have a little bit bigger yards, you could map out different sections, have it mow one section one day, another section another day. In my opinion, people that are looking for a robot mower want something that's easy to set up. If it's a headache to set up, that's a real turnoff, and I would say this one definitely qualified on that. And some easy options to change in the app. Again, I talked about the cutting width. It comes with a 14-inch width, but you can adjust how much it overlaps. You can set it to go back when it rains or not go back when it rains. You can set it to mow at night or not mow at night. So these things are very simple to do within the app, which was great because I feel like it is a user-friendly machine that's not complicated to set up or to configure the app the way you want it to do. So in summary, in 3/4 acre yard or less, I would recommend it. If you're on a steep hill, I would not recommend it. If you got a lot of rocks, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think it's going to go out there and just do your leaf cleanup for you and mulch all your leaves and sticks up. It's not a zero-turn mower that's just going to be abused all the time. But if you need something simple to cut your grass every single day or every other day, and you just want to keep it manicured, then this is a mower that gets really good reviews on different platforms, and I can recommend it myself. I will put a link in the description if you want to read more about this particular model, and do appreciate Sunseeker for letting me do this review. Thanks for watching. I'm Jason Creel, and we'll see you guys in the next video.